Hello everyone. Today, we'll be seeing how fast Sawk can beat Pokemon White 2 challenge mode in a solo run challenge. Let's get straight into the video. The Unova region has two fighting types, mainly Throw and Sawk, that are sort of seen as clones of Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee, but I wonder if there's going to be a huge difference between them. Earlier in the week, I did play Throw in a live stream, and it did not really do that good, but I'm quite sure that Sawk is going to do a lot better. We have 75 HP, 125 attack, 75 defense, 30 special attack, 75 special defense, and 85 speed. We're also in the medium fast level up group 2, so we won't level up too slowly, nor too quickly, but I feel like in challenge mode, the growth rate doesn't really matter as much unless it's the slow or fluctuating growth rates. And as you can see on the overlay, we start with 3 moves at level 5, Leer, Rock Smash, and Bide. If you watched the Throw stream earlier in the week, we started literally with Leer, Bide, and Bind. Yeah, the trapping move. So yeah, this is a way better starting moveset. And then throughout the rest of the levels, we get Focus Energy, Double Kick, which is really dang good in Gen 5, especially with Team Plasma frequent usage of normal and ice types. Plus, it can potentially bypass Sturdy. And then we also get Low Sweep, Counter, Karate Chop, Brick Break, Bulk Up, Retaliate, Endure, Quick Guard, Close Combat, and Reversal. So we definitely get most of the great fighting type moves, aside from the kicks. And if you take a look on the right side of your screen over at our TM section, we get a decent bit of moves. We get the ground type moves Earthquake, Dig, and Bulldoze, and then we also get Rock Tomb and Rock Slide, as well as all the fighting type moves we could want. And we do learn Fling and Payback as well. Payback could actually be a great thing in this run, because if you looked at our level up moveset, we really do not have a move to deal with ghost types that well. So Payback would actually be a pretty decent solution around it. It's not going to be necessary though, because I do need to show you something else. In Black 2 and White 2, you have access to move tutors. And I don't have room for them on my TM display, but if you take a look here, we get Dual Chop, the Elemental Punches, Knockoff, Snore, and Superpower. We get Low Kick as well, but that's not going to matter. The main thing is that we get the Elemental Punches. You see, in Nimbasa City, there's an old man in the Pokemon Center that gives you 10 red shards for free, and the red shard tutor in Driftvale actually gives the elemental punches, so I can get 1 punch because they cost 10 red shards. And in this run, we're going to be getting Thunder Punch, because it's going to be really great to have electric moves offensively to counteract flying types. The early game though is going to be pretty simple. The first gym leader is Charon of normal types, and he's not really going to be that bad. I mean, in challenge mode he does have a P-Dove, but it's not really going to matter too much. So why don't we go take on the first gym leader, Charon. Charon leads off with his Patrat. I go ahead and use a turn 1 Rock Smash, and I one-shot it. Next up is the Lillipup. I use Rock Smash, and it's going to have to be a 2-shot, but fortunately I get a high roll after the Oranberry activates, so I'm all good. And then at level 13, I can learn Double Kick in the place of Leer, and then I can just Double Kick the bird down. So yeah, sub 6 minutes first gym badge. Very good so far. And also, as we get our way to Verbank City, we need to talk about our nature and ability. I'm going with the Adamant nature today, which is plus attack minus special attack. I figured this is pretty self-explanatory. We really don't need extra speed either, because unlike Throw, we actually have decent speed. And our ability is our hidden ability, Mold Breaker. What Mold Breaker does is it prevents the opponent's abilities from affecting my damage output. So for example, I can hit Levitate users with ground type moves, I can hit Flash Fire users with fire moves, stuff like that. However though, now that I think about it, it probably wasn't the right choice. My main reason for picking Mold Breaker was because you could use it to bypass Sturdy, but Double Kick sort of already does that. Plus, every time you enter a battle, the Mold Breaker text pops up, and even though it's not that much time, over the course of a whole run, it could probably add a couple of minutes. So I honestly believe the correct ability should have been Inner Focus to prevent flinches, or potentially Guts, like just in case I get poisoned. But honestly, it's not really going to matter in the grand scheme of things. This is just going to be a little slow. As soon as I enter Burbank City, I get the Great Balls from this reception right here, trade a Pokeball for a Great Ball with this guy, and I go ahead and catch a Pidove in the grass, as well as catching an Audino for Surf. I wasn't able to find a Psyduck in the Flockacy Ranch, so I go ahead and just catch an Audino instead. The reason I don't stay behind at the ranch to just grind for a Psyduck is because it's a 10% spawn and it's really not that worth it. I also do some of the local training here as well, because Roxy is still going to be somewhat tough because her Pokemon do resist fighting type moves, so I'm going to want to make sure to do a little bit of training. Although, now that I think about it again, since I have the ability to learn the move Work Up as a TM, it honestly didn't really make much sense to do this training because I can just teach Return to deal with her Pokemon. But still, better to be safe than sorry. Anyway, why don't we go take on the second gym leader, Roxy. Roxy leads off with her level 17 Coughing. I go ahead and use one workup right away as her Pokemon just spam Venoshock. And then at +3, I get to low health and I realize, okay, I should probably get moving. I one-shot the Coughing, the Grimer, and then on the Whirlipede, it goes for Protect twice in a row, and then when I hit it with Return, it leaves it at low health, and then I get hit, leaving me at 4 hit points remaining, and then I'm able to knock out the Whirlipede and get my second gym badge. That was cutting it a little closer than I thought, but then again, if I didn't do that training, I definitely would have been dead. So I honestly would like to say this was worth it. Blah blah blah, cinematic cutscenes, nobody cares. And oh look, we're now on a boat to Castelia City. I talk to the 3 Harlequins throughout the city to eventually get myself a rare candy, and I go ahead and enter the building across the street from Game Freak and get myself the TM for Rest. This will come in handy later on. And then before I enter the sewers, I enter the gate right here to go to the Sky Arrow Bridge, but I'm not going to go there, that's a post-game area. I'm going to go ahead and get the Quick Claw. This was definitely not needed. The reason I got this was because I needed it for Throw, and I guess muscle memory just took over because I did play Throw first. And then while I was in the sewers, I go ahead and get myself the Leftovers item, clear out Team Plasma, go ahead and get this escape rope right here, and then fight a few of the trainers in here as well. This area used to be where I caught my Strength User in case I didn't find a Psyduck, but I actually don't catch a Strength User here anymore. You don't need Strength until Victory Road, so what I actually do now is I wait till I get the Master Ball and just catch the Crustle that's in the Seaside Cave, because you have to talk to it to move it out of the way anyway, so it actually makes sense for that to be my Strength User. Plus it kinda makes Psyduck less valuable, which is kind of a good thing with how rare it is. Anyway, why don't we go take on the third gym leader, Berg. Berg leads off with his Dwebble. I go ahead and begin setting up some workups. Fortunately, this Dwebble does not have Sand Attack, unlike the original Black and White, and the thing just spams Feint Attack for some reason. I go ahead and set up around 4 workups, and then I begin the sweep with Return, but the problem is the Levani outspeeds, and then it hits me with Razor Leaf, and I end up blacking out. I end up deciding to just take the blackout because I sort of was a little under-leveled anyway, and it doesn't really take that long to get back to the gym, although if I had known I was going to black out, I definitely would have opened up the shortcut first. Oops. Another issue I had with this fight is, in the first attempt, I actually forgot to teach Rest. I'm supposed to use Rest on Dwebble after setting up my workups, but still, even if I get to Levani at full health, that's not really going to make it any easier because it can use Grass Whistle as well, which is a grass-type version of Sing. And I do end up getting hit with it, and then Aerial Ace does a lot of damage to me, and I'm dead. But instead of taking the blackout, I go ahead, just reset and try again. So yep, there's my first reset. I get another reset to Berg, but on my third attempt against him, I go ahead and get the Grass Whistle miss, and then I can finish off the rest of his team. Yeah, when I started doing Gen 5 solo runs, I used to think Berg was a joke because bug types weren't that good, but I definitely don't think that anymore, that's for sure. I completely destroy Colress since I don't have to worry about Sturdy from his Magnemite, but even if I didn't have to, Double Kick would have one-shot it anyway. And he also gives me a free protein. I go ahead and use this protein because in the Unova region, you get access to a whole ton of attack EVs, so it's always good to use this protein early on. I also do get the TM for Dig as well. This could also help us with hitting ghost types. Not Driftblim of course, but at least it would help with Golett or Golurk. As soon as I enter Nimbasa City, I heal at the center, get the 10 red shards, get the Macho Brace inside the gate to Route 16, and then I go into the Losthorn Forest and begin the Pokemon Breeder Gallon training. Gallon is super good training if you need it before Elisa, plus his Liepard and Tranquil give attack and speed EVs respectively. I do need the training for Skyla 2 later, but I can always just delay that training until I get the Lucky Egg. So for right now, I'm just going to train until I get to a level where I can take on Elisa just fine. And that level is level 35. I did this training while holding the Macho Brace the entire time, so that way each battle I gained 4 attack EVs and 4 speed EVs. Now, let's go take on the 4th gym leader, Elisa. She leads off with her Remolga. I go ahead and set up Bulk Up, which I learned via Level Up over Work Up. I also learned Brick as well, which actually is tougher than Double Kick. The main advantage with Double Kick is mainly just the power points and the ability to bypass Sturdy. And besides, Double Kick is kind of a trap in this gym, because each individual hit with Double Kick can potentially activate Static. But fortunately, I don't end up getting Staticked on Elisa, even though I did come in with a Cherry Berry. There's a Pokemon Ranger in the Losthorn Forest who gives you one. So yeah, I guess I can just save this for later. I help Hugh take out Team Plasma, destroy Charles in a triple battle, enter Driftfell City, go ahead and defeat the former Team Plasma Sage Rud, and then I can go ahead and take on the 5th gym leader, Clay. Clay leads off with his Krokorok. You do not want to set up on this thing because it has Torment. So I go ahead and use Brick right away to get rid of it. And next up is his Challenge Mode exclusive Onix. I go ahead and set up Bulk Ups until it kills itself with Explosion, because starting Generation 5, the opponent's defense no longer gets cut in half during the stat calculations, so it actually doesn't end up hitting me for that much. And then I can take out the rest of his team and get the 5th gym badge. So yeah, honestly, besides Berg, I've been completely destroying these gyms so far. However though, the next gym leader is Skyla, the user of flying types, so it is going to be a little bit tough. And then before I go ahead and enter the World Tournament, I go enter this building right here, exchange 10 red shards, and get the move Thunder Punch. This is effectively going to be close to my final moveset for the entire run. I'll be holding on to Brick Break, Thunder Punch, and Bulk Up, so I essentially have one free move slot to work with. Then I can clear out the tournament, take out the Plasma Frygate, and then head my way towards Route 6 in the Chargestone Cave. While in the Chargestone Cave, there are 2 Pokemon Rangers in here that actually both give Chesto Berries, and I'm going to be getting these to use in combination with Rest for some fights. And then, as soon as I enter Mistralton City, I continue north to Route 7, enter the Celestic Tower, and get the Lucky Egg from Professor Juniper. With access to this Lucky Egg, it's going to be a lot better to do the training necessary for Skyla, so I go ahead and equip the Lucky Egg and take out a lot of the trainers inside the Celestic Tower right here. These trainers are pretty tough, so I need to remember to save, because if you look here on Psychic Joyce, who's the first trainer in this whole tower, I go ahead right away and use Thunder Punch when I really should have used Return, but I do end up defeating it. But the reason I wanted to bring this person up was because in my Throw playthrough, this person ended up killing me, and I had to black out. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I don't have any problems with the rest of the tower. I head to the roof, and I do not ring the notification bell. You guys should not ring the notification bell. My content is garbage. Anyway, let's go take on Skyla. With all the training I did in preparation for this fight, I am level 48. I go ahead and use Return to one-shot the Swoobat. I meant to use a bulk up on it first. Oops. Then on the Sigilyph, I can one-shot it with Thunder Punch, same with the Swanna. And then on her final Pokemon, the Skarmory, I don't have to worry about Sturdy because of Mold Breaker. So honestly, this is probably one of the first real good cases about this thing. But I end up misclicking and going for Brick Break. But all she does is go for Agility. And yeah, she practically threw the fight because of that. I should have used Thunder Punch. I couldn't remember if Steel resisted Electric. It doesn't. As soon as we get to the point of the game where I can take the plane to Lentimus Town, we get access to a lot more easy to get rare candies. Like there's one inside the strange house, but I actually choose not to get it. Throw really does not need many rare candies throughout the run. But while I'm in the Reversal Mountain though, I do beat this Pokemon Ranger right here for a Rostberry. This will come in handy for Chantal in the league. And then, as soon as I get out the other side, I am in Undella Town. I have to beat the rival here really quick, but he's just an absolute piece of cake. And then I can bike my way north towards Route 13, enter Lacanosa Town, defeat some more Team Plasma Grunts, and then on Route 12, I can go ahead and get this hidden rare candy, as well as this Peepee up in the grass right here. And then inside the village bridge, I do the mandatory talk to the invisible sign. I gotta do that in every single run I do. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules, but I gotta do it. And there is also an easy to get rare candy here as well as a Peepee up inside the garbage can. Go through Route 11, ignore this free legendary, and enter Opelucid City. We're not going to need to enter the Shopping Mall 9 to get a Vitamin of the Day, because we don't really need any special attack or speed, and our attack is definitely more than full at this point. So we're just going to go ahead and take on the 7th gym leader, Drayden. Drayden here with Bulk Up is an absolute joke. His Druddigan only has physical moves, and it actually does not have Rough Skin in this game. It does have Rough Skin in Black and White 1, so that's one less thing to worry about. I can set up all the Bulk Ups I need and just completely destroy his team. Although his Altaria tries to stall by putting me to sleep with Sing and using Cotton Guard, but once I wake up and knock it out, the rest of his team is easy. I don't have to worry about the Team Plasma section here because I'm a fighting type. And then we can go ahead and enter Hula Mouse City and take on our final gym leader, Marlin. He leads off with a Wailord. I go ahead and use a Brick Break first before setting up because that Wailord does have Water Spout. I do not want to set up with its health at max, but one Bulk Up is all I need because I can just Thunder Punch the rest of his Pokemon, including the Caracosta because it cannot get Sturdy off because of Mold Breaker. So yeah, pretty convenient. And now, since we have all 8 badges, we can go take on the Pokemon League. If this was any other game, we still have to do 2 sections of the Plasma Frygate, the part in the Seaside Cave and the part in the Giant Chasm. When I'm in the Seaside Cavern though, when I wake up the Crustle, I use the Master Ball that Colress gave me on Route 22, and I go ahead and catch this Crustle to use as my Strength user. And then part 1 of the Plasma Frygate usually isn't too eventful. I didn't really end up struggling with any of the fights here. And then with this first part done, I can get to the Giant Chasm and do part 2, which is usually the longer part because it involves fighting Colress and Ghetsis. Let's talk about the Colress fight. Colress leads off with his Magneton. I go ahead and Brick Break it for the one-shot as well as his Magnezone. No need to worry about Sturdy. And then on the Behem, I go ahead and just use Return and it almost one-shots, but not quite. I didn't set up any Bulk Ups in this fight at all because I was worried about Thunder Wave. But it's not like I really needed it either, because as soon as the Metang comes out, I can, guess two-shot it. Okay, maybe I could have used one Bulk Up, but I'm not really in any danger. I never even took any HP. So yeah, that was easy. Now, we need to go take on Getsus. Getsus leads off with his Cophagrigus. I go ahead and use a bulk up right here on the Cophagrigus. I go ahead and just set up to +3, and as soon as I get +3, I go ahead and use Rest to go to sleep. I have a Chestoberry equipped as well, so I can do the good old Resto Chesto strats. And then as soon as the Cophagrigus is down, I can defeat the Electros with Brick Break, the Seismitoad with Brick Break, the Drapion with Brick Break, the Hydreigon with Brick Break, and I go ahead and use Thunder Punch for the Toxicroak. And with Getsus down, now we can go towards the Elite Four. But looking at our resets and blackout counter right now, our 2 resets and 1 blackout were all on Berg. If Berg had gone a little bit better for me, I could have actually had a completely resetless run, which would have been quite awesome, but sadly not today. Of course though, inside of Victory Road, there is an actual Victory Road gauntlet in the sequels, unlike the original Black and White one, and I am quite worried about some of the trainers. And one of those trainers is a veteran in the Pokemon League named Kathy. Kathy has a Sigilyph and a Crobat. I'm really worried about the Crobat. I actually use 1 bulk up on the Sigilyph, I get put to sleep with Hypnosis, and I get 2-shot. Okay, yep, there goes my first reset since Berg. Yippee. On the next attempt though, I decide not to set up any bulk ups and just see how the fight goes, and I one-shot everything. Okay, yeah, that reset was definitely my fault. Although, I do end up getting another loss at one of the Victory Road trainers. On Ace Trainer Shanta, she has a team of 1 Heatmore and 1 Galvantula. I try to defeat it as quickly as possible, but I end up getting paralyzed while spamming Thunder Punch, and I end up not being able to move for a couple of turns, and because of that, I end up dying to this person. This is a completely optional trainer as well. So yeah, it definitely feels kinda bad that this happened. And since I hadn't saved since the Crobat trainer, I decided to just take the blackout, although it probably would have been faster to just take the reset. I don't know. And then the final trainer in this Victory Road gauntlet is the veteran Sterling. This guy has a Beartic as his lead, but his most threatening Pokemon is his Golurk. I actually need a move to hit this thing. Normal fighting and electric moves will not do. I didn't end up backtracking for Payback, which is on Route 16 and it needs strength. So I instead just decide to just use Dig on it, although I really should have set up some bulk ups first, because the Golurk ends up killing me with Earthquake. Alright, there's another reset. On the second attempt though, after setting up quite a few bulk ups, I can go ahead and one-shot it with Dig. And even the Earthquake damage from underground doesn't really do that much to me. I do end up almost dying to the rival in Victory Road though. My health did get pretty low, but fortunately I'm able to defeat him. And now with that huge trainer gauntlet out of the way, we can enter the Pokemon League. I go ahead and heal at the center, and go take on the final 5 trainers. Let's do this shit. The first member of the Elite Four I take on is Grimsley. It should be pretty self-explanatory why. His entire team is weak to fighting types, so... Brick Break go boo! Next up is the fighting type Elite Four member, Marshall. I actually used a few rare candies I had at this point to get to level 78, and this level is important. This is the level where at Vitamin Threshold EVs for my speed, I can get hit with 1 Bulldoze from the throw and still outspeed the Lucario, because the Lucario has access to Psychic, and Lucario has very high special attack. That would have hurt really bad. And then on the Conkeldurr, I go ahead and one-shot it with Brick Break. It is a good thing that thing didn't live, because that Conkeldurr has a Flame Orb and Guts. Next up is the Psychic type Elite Four member, Caitlyn. Caitlyn is mainly a troll in this game, unlike the original games where she's actually kind of a difficult foe. Her Musharna has Hypnosis with the zoom lens, so if she ends up going second, Hypnosis gets a 20% boost to its accuracy, so it's effectively a 72% chance to hit. Kinda similar to the odds of Diamond and Pearl in Battle Revolution. I do end up getting one reset on Caitlyn because of Hypnosis and Dream Eater, but then on my second attempt, I completely wiped the floor with her. Next up is the Ghost type Elite Four member, Chantal. I end up getting a quick reset before ever doing this fight because I forgot to reteach Dig, because I ended up having to reteach Return for Caitlyn. The main plan here is I just set up Bulk Up until the Rostberry gets eaten up by Will-O-Wisp, and then I can go ahead and Thunder Punch the Copagrigus. It does end up living in low health though, but fortunately it just goes for Psychic. That was quite lucky, because I don't have Rest on the moveset anymore. But +1 ends up being enough. Plus, I can actually outspeed the Choice Scarf Chandelure, so that's really good. And then I do get hit by Golurk's Earthquake underground, but because of all the bulk ups I used, I'm fine. And now, we just have one more trainer to go. We gotta go take on the champion of Unova, Iris. Iris leads off with her Hydreigon. I go ahead and use one bulk up, and Dragon Pulse did a decent bit of damage. I go ahead and set up a second one though, but I'm slowly healing up every turn thanks to the leftovers, so at +2 I can one-shot the Hydreigon with Brick Break, and then defeat the Druddigon as well, which also fortunately does not have Rough Skin. Then the Aggron can go down to Brick Break, it does not have Sturdy in this game, and then the Lapras can go down with Brick Break as well. And then her final two Pokemon are Haxorus and the Archeops. Mold Breaker is not going to prevent the use of the Focus Sash, but she usually likes to waste her first turn with Dragon Dance. So then after that, I can just one-shot the Archeops with Brick Break, and then Sawk clocks in with a real time of 1 hour, 48 minutes, and 57 seconds, with 6 resets, 2 blackouts at level 80, with a game time of 5 hours and 26 minutes. So yeah, this Pokemon really did awesome. It makes Throw look like an absolute waste of a Pokemon. But yeah, I mean, honestly, being a somewhat decently fast offensive user with all the fighting type moves you could want plus bulk up and maybe some of the elemental punches for coverage, this Pokemon was essentially unstoppable though. Although if I took out those resets that were 100% my fault, this thing probably would have only ended up with the 2 resets at Berg. Plus, if we go ahead and look at the leaderboard, let's take a look at our top 10 here. Sawk ends up getting 8th place overall. It did roughly 40 seconds worse than Zoroark's second playthrough, and it did about 6 minutes worse than Emboar. Although, I think if both of these Pokemon got one more playthrough, Sawk has the potential to outrank Emboar, but the thing is with Emboar is it also had access to fire moves for all the bug types, so Roxy and Berg were absolute jokes. Plus, I didn't really struggle with Skyla with Emboar, unlike Sawk. Plus, Emboar gets work up as well. But who knows though, I might re-rank Emboar or Sawk at some point, but let's not think about it right now. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more, and be sure to follow me on my socials or support me through YouTube memberships. YouTube members get access to the patch files for all the backport Pokemon we do on stream. Next week, we're actually going to be sticking to the DS era for Pokemon games. We're actually going to be going back to Pokemon Pearl, aka the game of Bruno. We're going to be playing the game with 2 very good dragon types, Dragonite and Garchomp. We're going to figure out which of them can play the game better in a solo run challenge. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.